Okay, so since communism is on the rise, and communists don't really believe in private property, and more, free market capitalists believe in private property, and America was revolutionary because private property was allowed. We need to talk about it. Okay. Now, here's the thing. I believe that if you are protesting on private property, you are trespassing, and I think you deserve to have live rounds aimed at you or a dog to be sicked on you. If there's not a fence and you step on someone's lawn and you go up to their door and you're harassing them, it should be your right as a private property owner to defend yourself. Castle doctrine. To really get the mob away from your home. Now, some people say that's extreme. Well, a lot of those people grew up in peaceful areas, or they grew up in apartments, or they grew up in Section 8 housing in really bad hoods where crime was so rampant they never knew what peace was. And here's the thing, just because someone has a home that they're barely meeting the mortgage on, that they're going to be paying off for 30 years, doesn't mean they're wealthy. So many people take out loans to, buy a home. It's a special thing. It's nice to have your little nest, right? Now, thinking that the world will be a better place if we abolish private property and set up communal land, those will literally, most of the time, turn into ghettos because no one has an investment in maintaining that. For example, anyone who's had roommates knows the struggle of how you make everyone do something, right? They don't care because it's not in their name, but you're communal living, right? As someone who had to live with so many roommates in so many small places, it's California is the roommate state. It's really awful. And it's fascinating how people who didn't contribute to what goes into the refrigerator want to eat out of it, right? And sometimes you can share, but very quickly you'll notice people will take advantage of what's free, right? And since the apartment's in your name, you are going to be the one to have to replace the carpet and pay for damages, while the people who are renting a room can, say, hey, next month I'm out, and they damage the carpet and they're out, right? They have no legal ties to the property, but you do, even though they're paying you, as a roommate. And you'll notice how the more roommates you have, the less care some of them take. It's very hard to find good, reliable roommates. On communal land, that would just be a bigger problem of the same. But when someone has private property that they worked for, that they care for, that their family lives on, they're going to, treat it how they want to treat it, but they have more of an investment in caring for it. If they want to let an anarchy garden grow in the front where there's maybe a little bit more weeds and it's not as pretty or geometric in the patterns of the landscaping, that's up to them. But either way, they're paying the month, on that. They're paying for it. Now, when I would see the Section 8 houses in areas in Philadelphia, those places, they were not very happy places, and those are reduced governmental housing. And this is something that is a little scary because people think, well, if we take away everyone's ability to have a home, their own private property, and make everything communal, there will be no more decay and everything will be well maintained. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. If you don't have a tied investment to it, you're not going to take care of it as much. We all know this secretly deep down, right? And a lot of these people who don't even donate to charity, they don't even volunteer, are angry at people for having a home, and now they want communism because not enough rich people are donating so that they can live a comfortable life. And I think that's a big hypocrisy. If you don't even help who you can help in the free ways that you can, it doesn't have to be through money, it could be through your time. But if you don't even do that, and you just want to kind of fold your arms up and be like, I want guaranteed communal housing, I want guaranteed education, I want guaranteed healthcare, everything, which I support universal healthcare, by the way, but still, it just shows you how people don't understand how taxes work, and they don't understand how human nature works. You have to have some personal responsibility. And the thing is I know what it's like to have an apartment in my name and rent to people, and I know what it's like to be a renter and have to, pay rent to someone else's apartments in their name. I know what that feels like, and I also know what it's like to live in a Section 8 place slum hole in Philadelphia and to live in a little mini kind of cute home in Utah. So I have lots of variety of experiences, and I also lived in, the immigrant zones in California where we had over 8 roommates in a small 2-bedroom California apartment, which was very small. So I know a lot of different styles of living, okay? And I've slept on the floor. I've had a mattress on the floor. I've slept in a hamaca, which is the hammocks. I've done a lot of different styles of sleeping, so I don't really want to hear how because I'm pale I'm somehow privileged. No, it's ridiculous. But the thing is this. You not having respect, these protesters not having respect for private property is a very dangerous sign for us. Because if you have a grandma or grandpa who has a cute little home that took them 40 years to pay off of, and some jealous, envious, in-debt mob comes over to them and starts attacking your grandpa's home, you're going to have a problem. And if your grandpa decides to get his gun and point it at him, and this mob says, we're just peacefully protesting, the only reason why they're peacefully protesting is because you have a gun. Okay? Democracy, demos, the mob, rule of the mob. Okay? Mobs can get out of control. The old cliche of democracy is 50% can vote to kill the other percentage, right? So just because the majority votes for something doesn't mean it's right. How many times I've worked in unsafe conditions and the person in charge makes a vote and everyone's so desperate for money and they're so afraid of the boss, they'll vote in his favor, and then I'll be like, no, this isn't really safe, we shouldn't really do this, and then everyone gets mad at me, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to clock out and go home, I'll see you guys tomorrow, because I'm not working in these conditions. You have to be bold and stand up for yourself, right? So democracy isn't just foolproof. And if the mob says, which they're starting to say, it is okay for angry mobs to go on private land to protest, that's okay. That's not okay. I mean, and now they're saying abolish landlords, and it's really strange the way in which we're going is because these people, I think they have a lot of mental illness, they're depressed, their life isn't where they want it to be, and they keep looking for scapegoats and playing the blame game, not having personal accountability. They don't want to really cultivate themselves or change themselves. They're not putting in the work, and they want to find so many different niche forms of oppression so that they can feel like they're this internal ever victim. And it's really sick to me. And I think we as a country, we got to go back to the get off my lawn mindset. I didn't understand that mindset until now. I see more and more homeowners are being harassed by protesters, and the media is silent about it, or these very, really sick, manipulative, psychologists, propagandists are trying to say it's our fault for having a home and we're privileged because we have a home. I don't have a home. I rent. But I have friends who I love, and I don't want their homes to be destroyed. And that's why I keep telling people, build a fence, learn your rights, because even if a criminal breaks into your home and you shoot them, you're still going to have to go to court to prove that you had to defend yourself. And now I've seen it more and more where people are saying, well, you should look at the conditions that caused the crime, and maybe they're stealing because they're desperate, and that, you know what I'm saying, they're trying to make a victim feel sorry for the person who victimized them. And that's how you know something is very dark, is when someone who is hurting you is trying to convince you that you deserve to be hurt because of the position you were in. And that's the sickest type of manipulation. And now people who grew up in Section 8 housing in the ghettos being jealous of somebody in the suburbs for having a home and thinking those people don't suffer in their own ways is bizarre. A homeowner has a lot more to risk than someone who rents, right? Both can be homeless, but the financial burden of an apartment versus a home, fixing plumbing, electrical things, trying to install something, listening to the codes of the city on what you can build and what you can't do, more yard work, right? There's just so much more that you have to do. Maintaining, mold, making sure it doesn't grow. I could name so many things. It's a lot of work. And them having a home also helps to employ landscapers, right? Having an apartment, you help out the people who work to maintain the building, but it's not the same as, what a homeowner does. And you being jealous of their home isn't going to get you a home. If you want a home, find out how to get it legally, find out what you can afford in an area you can afford. Find a way. But getting jealous and thinking that you have a right to break into private, gated communities to scream at, rich people about how you're oppressed because you work at McDonald's. I worked at McDonald's. I was a fry cook. Never went to anyone's house to whine to them. I did my shift, and I took the little electric trolley in Philadelphia, and I took it home. And sometimes my mom would pick me up, but sometimes she wouldn't, right? You gotta work hard to get what you want to get. And, be happy with less, to be honest. Just learn how to appreciate what you have and live every day the way you can, you know? You don't really need the diamonds and the glitz and glamour. Some of you are worshiping celebrities and then that makes you feel miserable about yourself. You don't really need the Ferrari. I mean, you have public parks. If you live in a dangerous area, there's so many different side hustles now that you can do. I don't know. You're not taking advantage of the opportunities, and getting jealous and threatening people in their homes, saying they're on stolen land is bizarre. All land was stolen from somebody. All land shifts hands. And it will. After we die, 200 years from now, there could be a whole new civilization here, or it could be no civilization at all. Animals could take it back, literally. So when you say things like, well, this is stolen, this is stolen, this is stolen, this is oppression, this is systemic, realize things rise and fall, things shift. Each empire comes and goes. It's the circle of life, it's the wheel of life. It's just the way it happens. What goes up must come down. So press onward and keep going. Whining and getting jealous ain't gonna help you. So respect people's private property and find a way to make your life better, and stop terrorizing people and families in their home, because it's only going to turn people against you.